Good morning, crew. We are at Raw Vlog number 16. And today it's kind of cloudy outside, so we're not going to have pokes in your eye, which should be pretty nice. Today we're going to talk a little bit about some things from the Fox US Open, lessons I learned, and some stats about that. A little bit, we'll do a quick bit of shop news, and then just want to talk a little bit about 100% stoke. The only real shop news is I just put out a video, a little bonus video yesterday on the 510 trail cross shoe that's coming out next year. So check that out. We've got a video coming out next week on Monday, which is pretty much a 2-day vlog on my time up at the Fox US Open, which was rad. I'm pretty excited to put that video together. I'm still putting it together. I'm pretty excited to get it out there. Other than that, if you're in the Southern California area, this isn't channel news or shop news or whatever. I always say shop news because I listen to the Path podcast and they always start with the shop news. So if I ever say shop news, that's why I do that. Before I go any further, huge thanks to Nathan from the Path podcast for giving me a shout out on that podcast. If you don't already listen to the Path podcast, do check him out. It can be pretty rambly, but it's pretty entertaining because you've got a number of people who have been in the industry a long time and just kind of know the ins and outs of all that, but are also just really fun characters. I've been listening to them for a while. They're on Mountain Bike Radio. Mountain Bike Radio is actually is kind of like a radio station. It's a podcast, but it has a bunch of different programs. So if you go to Mountain Bike Radio, you can find the Path podcast in there, and it's like every maybe 4th or 5th podcast is the Path podcast. So yeah. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, the reason I bring up the Path is if you're in Southern California, they are having their big end of summer sale this Sunday, which is like September 22 or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's coming up this Sunday at the Tustin shop. I think maybe it's also at the Live Oak shop, but they have a ton of good stuff on sale. I'm not like getting paid to promo them or anything. I just love that shop. I am an ambassador of the Path, but I just want to tell you, if you don't already know, go do that. Sorry, I'm taking up a whole bunch of time with the news. Let's get to the subject matter. Or some of the subject matter. The Fox US Open was freaking rad. I can't believe that we had that, World Cup racers in Southern California riding trails that I know. That's just such a trip. I've said it in a number of the comments on the YouTube video of those raw cuts. I've said it that it's one thing to watch these World Cup racers coming down tracks that we quote-unquote know, Mont Saint Anne, Leger, all those trails, right, Fort Bill, see them coming down and be like, wow, that's really rad, that looks so gnarly. But to watch them negotiate terrain that you know, and negotiate in a way that you never imagined and at speeds that seem impossible, is just it's an entirely different experience. I was just super stoked on that. Just blew my mind and gave me a lot more respect for those racers. And yeah, I know 10-ply is not, I mean, it's a good trail. It's not like, it's not like Mont Saint Anne or something like that that's just crazy steep Gnarfest, but they were still stopping at the sections where we have trouble, where we've crashed. They were stopping and watching those sections. They were figuring those sections out and decoding them. I know, you can see it in the video. It doesn't show up in the video, but when we were waiting for Greg Menard to come down, he was up there for a while. I don't know, maybe he was chatting for a while, but he was standing at the entrance for a while. We could see him up there in the light. And he was up there just looking at that trail for quite a long time. Anyway, it's cool to see them on that. Couple of little fun facts from the Fox US Open. There was a $10,000 purse, or a $10,000 prize money for both P1s, right? Both top spots, men and women. And I thought that was cool. I mean, like, the fact that it was $10,000 period was crazy rad. But the fact that it was the same amount for men and women, I think, was like 10 times as rad as just the number. Because if you've known or seen any thing about this, a lot of the times the women's purse is less than the men's purse. And you know, they're out there riding the same trails and putting in the work to ride those trails. You know, they're risking themselves too. So I think that was rad that they did that. Kudos to Fox US MTB. Another fun fact is that Jill Kittner had 7 seconds on second place. Jill Kittner, you're freaking rad. She just kills it. She just kills everything she does, and she's been at it quite a long time. Yeah, rad. There were 50 men who entered into the Pro DH class, which is quite a lot of people. I think only 48 started, and there were 22 women. Now, here's the fact that I find so rad. Greg Minnaar came in second. Loic Bruni came in first. That's not the fact. The fact is, Greg Minnaar was 0.6 seconds off of Loic Bruni, and it's just like so rad. If you don't know, Greg Minnaar has been at this longer than some of you have been alive, and I think that's crazy. Greg Minnaar is the freaking GOAT. Yeah. So those are the fun facts from a little bit of, from the Fox US Open. Hope you dug that part. Let's get into like my personal kind of thing here. So, like, this thing is busted. I wasn't going to be riding up at the Fox US Open, but I still wanted to go up there. I honestly didn't know what that was going to be like, because I knew I would see buddies up there riding, plus I'd just see a whole bunch of people riding. And I always like to try to get in on trains, and like I knew there'd be like rad people up there riding, and I thought maybe I'd be really into riding. However, when I got up there, I was in this mode. I was in a kind of dual mode. Especially on the first day, I was very much into like a video capturing mode. I was in like documentarian mode, and it really kind of turned off my desire, not my desire to ride, but it really made it so that I wasn't jealous of other people riding. I was stoked on like capturing what other people were doing and just showing, gathering footage to share my experience with you guys. So yeah, it just really kind of changed my mode. And then on the second day, when I went up and was cheering at the DH race, my whole mode was just about stoke for the racers and supporting the racers. Like, that's what that whole day became about. It also became about hanging out with fellow fans. We were all mountain bike fans. We were all there to watch these racers come down the mountain and cheer them on, give them support, from the the amateurs, the teens, all the way up to the pros. We were there to support and bang on stuff and yell and scream as they went by. And at that point, I didn't realize this until just yesterday, that I went into a mode where I was so I was so stoked for other people riding and their racing that I didn't even think about the fact that I wasn't riding at all. And some of that was this guy, but a lot of it was just really getting into being a spectator for a sport that I love. I've never been much of a spectator. When I go, I would go to like a concert, and I'd be thinking about the sound mix and what is the audio engineer doing, or what's it like to be on stage, how is it to play or sing, or I always wanted to be on the other side of that stage. Um, and I think my passion for mountain biking has allowed, and combined with this situation, but it has allowed me to kind of expand that experience, uh, and just fall in love with being a spectator at a race. I don't know if you've ever been to like a race and been a heckler on the side of the on the sidelines, just like getting crazy and having fun. If you've never done that, finding a good crew and being part of a good spectator crew, there's nothing like it. There's always going to be characters in the crew, people making jokes, and then you kind of have fun with the racers coming by. I'm having a hard time really just kind of conveying what that experience was like. Let me back up. So a lot of times I've thought about going to races, I've thought about going to events, like Sea Otter and things like that. And there's a big part of me that worries about the kind of tension I will experience, where I want to go ride my bike. I don't want to eat up time. I don't want to eat up riding time by having to film stuff, or just sitting and cheering other people on. My experience up at the Fox US Open made me realize, like, it's pretty rad to be that spectator and to be there just to film. Crew, you were on my mind the whole time I was up there. I kept thinking, what would you want to see and what can I bring to you? And there was something really cool about that. And maybe if I can like bring this all together, it really came down to, I wasn't really thinking about me most of the time I was up there. Like, I would be on the side of the trail both days, because I filmed a bunch of the enduro stuff too, or some of the enduro stuff. And in both cases, I'm on the side of a trail, getting, dusted by every rider coming by, and I'm up there for hours. I don't have water or food, although we did have graham crackers the second day. But I didn't have a lot going on other than like sitting on the side in the dirt on the trail. But because I knew, A, I was supporting the riders that were coming by, and B, that I was going to be able to bring footage to you, it made it so that it was an enjoyable experience. I was never miserable. I was never tired. I was just stoked the whole time. And I didn't really think that was possible for me. So this has really taught me a lot. The Fox US Open was rad, and yeah. That's it. Gonna go get coffee. Oh, I didn't tell you, raw vlogs are recorded live in front of a steering wheel on my way to getting my Friday morning coffee, delivered raw and unedited straight from the camera to you. I'm supposed to give you that spiel at the beginning so you know what the heck we're getting into. But I was so stoked on everything. All right, let's go get some coffee. I'm gonna go get some coffee. You get some coffee too. See ya.